That vision that you have isn't going to come to life overnight. Just having that end goal, like you mentioned, in sight, what's driving you every day to get there, and then the patience to let it happen and come naturally, but also working at the same time towards it.
What's up, Captains? This week's podcast episode is brought to you by my favorite supplement, Magnesium Breakthrough. And lucky for you guys, Bioptimizers is having a sale this week only, September 13th through the 19th on Magnesium Breakthrough. Now, let me just explain to you very quickly on why Magnesium Breakthrough is my favorite supplement. Number one is because up to 80% of Americans are deficient in magnesium, which is shocking. And even if you're supplementing with a store-bought magnesium, chances are you're only getting one, maybe two forms of magnesium, which are probably not bioavailable. Most store-bought brands include magnesium oxide, which is very poorly absorbed by the body. So it's like you're just wasting your money. And even if you're taking one or two forms of magnesium, even if it's a good quality form, like magnesium glycinate, you're still deficient in the other 6 forms of magnesium. And it's so important to have optimal levels of magnesium, not just the recommended dietary intake of magnesium, but optimal levels of magnesium, because it plays a role in over 300 different bodily functions, from metabolism to energy levels to stress to sleep to recovery. The list goes on for 295 other different things. It truly is amazing. The reason why I personally take it is for improved deep sleep. And I've proven this with not only myself, but my clients as well, because I track their deep sleep and all their sleep with the Whoop wristband. And I can see from their data from before they started taking Magnesium Breakthrough and then after, and their deep sleep levels are dramatically increased with supplementation of Magnesium Breakthrough. I also take it for stress, and I recommend it for stress. It's game changer. I take one capsule in the morning when I know I'm going to have a long, stressful workday, 1 to 2 capsules throughout the day, and then always 2 capsules at night to reduce my stress, get in a state of relaxation, and help promote that deep sleep. The last reason I personally take it is for improved muscular recovery. So it helps you bounce back from those tough workouts so you can get back at it the next day. But anyways, long story short, I could go on and on about magnesium. But like I mentioned, this week only, Bioptimizers is doing an exclusive sale on Magnesium Breakthrough. So you can get up to 23% off of Magnesium Breakthrough, plus another 10% off when you use my code Captain Morgan. And they also are throwing extra bottles on top of that, extra bottles of other supplements like their digestive enzymes, like their probiotic, like their HCl Breakthrough, all of which I personally take. It's the best deal that I've seen from Bioptimizers. So to take advantage of this, you cannot find this on their regular website. This is something exclusive that they're offering for listeners of the Captain's Lifestyle Podcast. So you can click the link in the show notes and use code Captain Morgan to take advantage of this exclusive deal. Again, this week only, so take advantage of it. Stock up. I keep at least 3 bottles on hand in case I need to give some out, or in case I run out or lose one, whatever, because it truly is that important. So I'm going to stock up. I recommend all of you guys stock up because it's amazing. And you get some freebies with it. So again, click the link in the show notes for the exclusive discount link and use code Captain Morgan to save even more money. All right, now on to today's interview with Dylan Welch. Hello, and welcome aboard another episode of the Captain's Lifestyle Podcast. This is your captain speaking, Taylor Morgan. On today's episode, we have the first billionaire guest on the show. His name is Dylan Welch. Dylan is the CEO of Green.org, a media company dedicated to highlighting clean tech and sustainable businesses. Dylan, the billionaire, welcome to the show.
Taylor, thanks, man. I appreciate you having me on. I'm pumped to be on the Captain's Lifestyle Podcast. And you said we can swear, so shit, yeah, let's fucking do this.
Fuck yeah. So let's touch on the billionaire and the Barstool sports athlete aspect, because I think that's important for people, especially in this day and age, to not take themselves so seriously and not believe everything they hear on social media. So just explain a little bit of that conversation we had before we started.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't follow me or whatever, which I expect most of you don't, my bio on Instagram says billionaire philanthropist, gentleman spy, athlete with Barstool Sports. And basically all of those are lies. I'm not a billionaire. I mean, I donate from time to time when I can. Depending on who you ask, I'm a gentleman. My ex-girlfriend might not think so, but that's a story for another day. Definitely not a spy, definitely not a Barstool athlete. But the reason I did that was because like I feel like in today's age, we just think and, criticize ourselves and compare ourselves to others, and social media really kind of like impacts that. Like you just see all these people living their best life and it makes you feel like shit. And especially Instagram too. It's like just everybody's highlight reel. So I wanted to just make a joke out of that and basically be like, how can I just have the most douchey, pretentious kind of asshole bio? And that's what I made it. And it's been kind of funny because it's just like been a conversation starter. And I used to use my Instagram a lot for my business, which, a lot of people do, especially if you're a business owner. And I was like stressing out about, how many likes I'd get and how many comments I'd get. And eventually I was just like, you know what, like, who cares? Like, I'm just going to post my life, post whatever I feel like it, when I feel like it, and like not worry about it. And yeah, it's helped. So really just like taking it way less seriously, toning it down a notch, and just kind of enjoying, myself. And I think the people, my friends who follow me, appreciate it because they're like, dude, you look like a dick sometimes on your social media. So tone it down. And that's the story behind that. Definitely not a billionaire, but I'm hoping I can manifest it into my life and make it a reality at some point as well.
Yeah, of course. But you are actually the CEO of green.org. So talk to us a little bit about that. Like how did that get started?
Yeah. So, well, what I love about your podcast is, it's all about entrepreneurship. It's all about kind of living the life that you want to live. And long story short, I used to work in the television industry. I was a producer and I got so burnt out. I hated it. Like every stereotype of like working, selling your soul for like the man and making like your boss super rich was real. I was working, the second I woke up to the second I went to bed. No emphasis on mental health, no emphasis on like physical health, just, morning, noon, and night. And I quit that job and decided, never want to work for anyone else ever again. If I'm going to build something, I want to build it myself. And so started my own company, which was a media marketing company. And then that kind of spun off into green.org, which was basically kind of like a media platform that highlights people who are, working in sustainability, clean tech, renewable energy, and just sharing their story and like doing it in a fun, cool, interesting way to ideally get like the average person excited and interested in just being a little bit more environmentally friendly and sustainable. So that's how green.org started. And it's just been a fun, interesting journey. And if you're listening to this, and you're interested in starting a business or you run a business, like just keep growing, because if you want to live the good life, that's how you got to do it. You got to be your own boss today.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is why I was excited to have you on the show, because you essentially do what I do, highlighting these sustainable brands and spreading awareness for them. And I think this is going to be the future of business. Like businesses of the future are going to have to be sustainable. They're going to have to care about their employees. They're not just going to worry about profits. They're going to have to actually care about their employees' well-being, about their mental health, about their physical health, about their happiness, because healthy, happy employees are productive employees, and productivity obviously leads to more revenue in business, as well as sustainable initiatives. And I just love that there's more people out there like you who are starting to talk about this and spread awareness, because we're already way too late. Like things have got to start changing. And that's only going to happen once more people become aware.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I mean, I think there's kind of three things that are happening. One, renewable energy, clean tech companies are just going to continue to grow and get bigger and bigger as the industries grow and more investments go into them. Two, older companies are going to have to basically change and be more sustainable. And three, we're both around the same age, roughly millennials. We're no longer those 18-year-olds who are fresh out of high school and it's the recession. We're in our 30s. We've got real jobs. We're starting to save some money. We're buying houses, and we've got a lot more, buying power, a lot more voting power. And with that, I think we care a lot more about, the time and energy we spend in our careers. And I think, it's not you go work for a company for 40 years and you retire and get a gold watch. It's like, no, I want to work for a company that, is doing something I'm passionate about and treats me well. And if not, fuck them. Like, I'm going to go find one that does. And I think that's a good thing. A lot of people think it's like, oh, you jump jobs around 2 years, every 3 years. Like, why would you stay somewhere if you're not happy or you're not being challenged or you're not getting paid well? So those three things I think are just going to be really driving the future of sort of the professional workforce. Industry is changing, older companies having to catch up, and then, younger people really having a huge impact on what we do with our time and money.
100%. And the businesses who don't catch up or who don't start to implement these practices, they're going to be obsolete. Like, they're not going to have a business in the future.
Please die. Like, please go out of business. Let the other ones who are doing good shit grow and get better, like, straight up.
Yeah. And what's his name? Jim Collins, author of Good to Great. I don't know when that book came out, but it's definitely a few decades old. And in there, I don't think he talks specifically about sustainability, but he absolutely talks about how you have to prioritize your employees. Like, they have to be happy. They have to be healthy. And that's one of the things that I teach my clients in my program, because I coach entrepreneurs. You have to first create your core values, your mission statement. You have to understand what it is your company is about. And then you hire by those values. I don't think jobs in the future, they're not just going to be jobs. Like, people, like you mentioned, they're looking for companies. They're looking to work for companies whose missions that they align with, that they don't wake up on Monday morning dreading having to get out of bed and go to work. They're actually excited to go make an impact, right? The employees of the future are going to love their job and be happy to make their boss more money, as opposed to being resentful at their boss for making them come into work.
I think even jobs in general is going to be a very different term, because even coming out of COVID, like, it's crazy how the internet has changed things. I mean, I know like influencers who make off one post more than my parents do in a year. Like, so why work for, the man when you can build a brand, use the internet, start an e-commerce store, start a course like you, really niche down and find, what you're passionate about and find a way to make money. I'm all for it. I tell people, like, that's the number one thing that you should be doing nowadays is either, if you don't like your job, start your own company, even if it's a small side hustle that you're passionate about, because ultimately that can grow into, what it makes you money and allows you to live. And, like, to me, I really don't even feel like I have a job. Like, I make money in a very weird, unconventional way, but it's enough for me to live and be happy. So why would I ever go back to a normal job? And I think a lot of people are realizing that.
Yeah. Do you think that everybody should work for themselves and, like, start their own thing?
That's a good question. I don't think everybody should, because I know there's some people who are totally happy with just having a set structure. Like, living an entrepreneurial life is very different than a 9-to-5 life. And I'm shitting on, like, jobs. There's some great jobs out there, and there's some great bosses who allow you to, work 9-to-5 or work from home, and nothing wrong with that. Really, the key is doing what makes you happy. Like, that's the most important thing. If you're happy working for someone and, you get paid well and you're passionate about your job, like, you don't have to run your own business. But then there's other people out there who just have this drive where, working for someone else isn't going to fulfill that passion. So I think identifying where you feel comfortable and where your passion lies is the most important thing. And so I don't judge anybody for any job, whether you're a janitor, you work at McDonald's, like, nothing wrong with any job out there, as long as you're doing it well and you're working hard and you're providing for yourself and your family and you're passionate about it. Like, kudos to you. But if that's not what makes you happy, figure out a way to be happy.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. And that's why I asked you that, because I was going to say, I'm going to have to disagree with you there, but we're on the same page. Everything comes down to happiness. Happiness is one of my personal core values. Happiness is one of the Captain's Lifestyle core values. And it doesn't matter if you're working a job or you have your own business. For me personally, I derive happiness from being my own boss, from working for myself. I tried the job route. That didn't work for me. But for a lot of people who work for a company like Patagonia for example, like they have a motto where, the founder wrote a book, Let My People Go Surfing. So one of their things is whenever you want, like if the surf is good, if you want to even leave a meeting, go out, go surfing. Like, so if you work for a company like that who truly values your mental health, your physical health, you get paid well, you're happy there. Like, I think it's impossible for everybody to be their own boss. Like, it's two different types of people. Like there's entrepreneurs and there's employees. And just because you're an employee and you don't like your job doesn't mean you should become an entrepreneur. Just look for a company that aligns with your values. Right.
Exactly. And I didn't mean to like single out janitors or McDonald's workers either. Those are just like the stereotypical like go-to answers. But I think above all else, even going bigger than entrepreneurship, the number one priority that everyone should focus on is their happiness, because I don't get like, I enjoy the stuff that I do. I like it, but I get happiness from other things. And my business that I set up allows me to live a life that I can then do those things that make me happy. So what makes me happy is being out on the beach, playing with my dog, going scuba diving, hanging out with my friends. If I'm working a job where I'm, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. in the office and Saturdays and Sundays, that's not going to let me live my life of happiness. So that's why I got out of that and said, okay, really when I left my job and started my own company, it was less about how am I going to make this the biggest business ever? And it was, how am I going to live a life that I'm happiest with? And so I literally wrote down a schedule that I would like to wake up and do every morning. So I like wake up, make coffee, walk my dog, go to the gym, not even check my emails or anything. And then really sit down and focus at like 11 to 2 is where I just get all my work done, and then go take my dog for a walk and go to the gym again. Like that was what I mapped out. Cause you kind of mentioned like life by design. That's the schedule that I found would make me as happy as possible. So still doing stuff outdoors, still being active, exercising, still getting work done and being productive. Like you still got to do that. You still got to pay your bills somehow. But doing it on your own terms. And then when you can do that, I think that's where that like deep happiness truly comes from.
Yeah. Talking about lifestyle entrepreneurship, designing the lifestyle that you want to live, making your hours.
What about you though? What was like your kind of vision for your happiness with your company and your life?
Yeah. So definitely what you just suggested. I was working at a job that I thought would make me happy, that I thought that I wanted to do. I was the head coach of the biggest CrossFit gym in Saudi Arabia. I was getting paid real well, but I wasn't fulfilled there. And so that's kind of what led me to create this, to make my own schedule, be my own boss. But on top of that, I wanted to create a bigger impact, which I'm sure you can resonate with as well. My happiness, yes, is derived from creating my own schedule and doing things that make me happy, but also creating the biggest impact that I can in other people's lives, doing the most good for other people. That is what really makes me happy. So the fact that I can combine those, work whenever I want, and when I do that work, it's making other people's lives better. Like that to me is just the perfect combo. And I'm sure something you can resonate with as well.
Yeah. And like, I can't stress how amazing that is, that that's something that you chose to do, because you could very easily just say, fuck everybody else. I'm getting paid and that's what matters. And who cares about having an impact? And I think that takes a very specific mindset of not just saying, yeah, I'm going to start a company, I'm going to make a bunch of money, and then I'm going to chill and party. Like you really have to make that choice to have a positive impact on people. So good for you. And really, those are the people at the end of the day, people like you who are making those decisions, who I think are the ones that are going to have a big impact and change the world, honestly. Like it's the people like you who take those risks, who start their own business, employ people, and go above and beyond, and not just say, I'm going to pocket this and invest it. I'm going to reinvest it into my business or other people and continue to grow. Like that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the biggest reasons why I chose to work with impact-driven entrepreneurs, because they understand that money isn't everything, that working your life away and sacrificing your time for money is not the way to live. I realized very quickly when I was in Saudi Arabia that money literally doesn't mean anything to me if I can't be happy and make the impact that I wanted to make? Because I was making good money. I was hardly having to pay for anything. Like they paid for housing. I didn't have to go anywhere. The gym was right next door, so I could just walk to the gym. The only thing I had to pay for was food, which, granted, I do eat a lot of food, but compared to what they were paying, like it was nothing. So I was banking a lot of money, but I wasn't making the impact that I wanted, and I wasn't happy or fulfilled doing that work. So I could give two shits about the money. I wanted to start my own thing.
Yeah. And like, that's so important because, okay, like look at, and I feel like we're very similar in the sense that I realized sort of a general amount of money I needed to make where I can pay my bills, I can hang out with my friends, I can travel. And it's not that much money. Like they've
done studies where 75 grand a year is like the peak amount of money that you need to be happy. After that, money doesn't equate to happiness at all.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what blows my mind. Like I get, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, like they built an empire, good for them. Like they built something that had a huge impact on, everybody's lives, and they're getting paid proportionally for it. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't need 1/1,000,000th of that amount of money. And like all of that, that's just extra money to play with and like have fun with. And like, even to a point like, yeah, you could buy houses, you could buy cars. But to me, if I had that much money, I would, just pump it all back in as much as possible to like have a positive impact. And I know those guys are doing that, we can argue about that all day and stuff. But again, like that, and let me back it up because we're kind of like talking from a little bit of a privileged standpoint where it's like, yeah, I just get to go out and do all my fun stuff all day. Like I do have to work to get to the amount of money that I want to make to live comfortably. Like I can't just sit back and not work. Bills would pile up real fast. So I do have to work, but then anything above that is, cool. It's like, I'm not just going to let it accumulate in my bank account. I'm going to do what I can to grow and give back and, make jobs and employ people that I like working with and give them an opportunity to grow and things like that too. So again, all going back to what you're saying of you made a choice to have that positive impact and it's really appreciated, honestly.
Yeah. So speaking of lifestyle entrepreneurship, let's get into some of your specific lifestyle habits, what routines or rituals you put in place for your personal health and well-being so that you can work these hours and create the impact that you have.
Yeah. So these are kind of the biggest things that I do personally that I found to be very beneficial. And I might sound like a crazy person for doing this, but basically first thing when I wake up, before I even open my eyes, I like mentally just hype myself up. I'm like, let's go out and fucking crush it today. We're going to have an awesome day. You're going to, go work out. You're going to exercise. You're going to build your business and you're going to have an awesome day. And like, this might be the day that, changes your life. So let's get after it. Every time I do that, I have a good day. Sometimes I forget and I just like jump up and like, I realized so, and I think it's all like affirmations or whatever you want to call it. That's what I do. Helps out a lot. The next thing I do, first thing in the morning is I make a to-do list of everything that I want to do that day. And I also don't make it like that intense or that crazy. I'm like, if I can do all of these things, I'll feel comfortable that I had a productive day. That includes work stuff. That includes, health stuff, going to the gym, walking my dog, like going grocery shopping. And then the next, couple hours, I just go down that list and make sure I do all of those things. And then when all of those things are done, I just try to relax a little bit and enjoy my day and, see what I can do to meet new people or go have some fun. Because one thing I realized, especially when I started my company, and I'm sure you can attest to this, like the work never ends. It's really hard to turn it off, like very hard. I still struggle with that because even when I go through that checklist and it's, let's say 3 p.m, I'm like, all right, what else can I do? What can I do to like get more shit done? And sometimes I'm feeling good and I'll like get some other stuff done. But I also do think it's important to just, keep things in perspective, tone it down a notch, appreciate what you have, appreciate, where you've come from, know that things take time and not everything happens, and having patience and then just going out and having fun and like appreciate, just living life too. Like there's a lot of the entrepreneurial gurus out there who are like, if you're not fucking hustling 24/7, 7 days a week, then your competition's going to like screw you over, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't want to hustle and work 24/7. I want to get my shit done in a smart, efficient way so I can then also enjoy, my time. And what I realized a lot of times when I'm just out doing things with my friends and just like, or on the beach or going for a swim, that's when a lot of the creative juices start to flow. And like some of my best ideas come from. Like some of my best ideas come from me just wrapping up my day and taking my dog out for an hour walk and leaving my phone at home and just being like, wow, today was really great. Like if I really think about it, it was really productive. So those two things are probably the biggest game changers I did, was just wake up and like hype yourself up and then just make a to-do list and keep a journal too. Like those three things, I got it right here. I keep this by my side basically 24/7.
Perfect. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I've had a productivity expert on the podcast and also a copywriting expert on the podcast, which obviously requires a lot of creativity. And they've both said that one of the best things that you can do for your creativity is to just stop, like take a break, go for a walk, meditate, whatever it is. And I think this is one of the major things that separates peak performers from, burnt out entrepreneurs, is that once they accomplish those things, like you mentioned, the to-do list, once they accomplish that, I think the ones who burn out are the ones who continue trying to find more work and trying to get more things done. Whereas the high performers, they realize, okay, this was a productive day. In order for me to have a productive day tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day, I need to now take a break and do the things that are going to fill my cup, whether that's go to the beach, work out, whatever it is. So your day isn't just filled with work.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's so important to actually, yes, do your work, get it done. But then once you get it done, now it's time to take a break and do whatever else it is in your life that allows you to have those productive days consistently.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure you're the same way. Like to me, honestly, my business is probably like the third thing that's a priority on my like goals. And the first one is like mental health, just making sure that, you're happy, you're staying focused, you're not, getting stressed. If you are stressed, understanding what's causing those stresses. If you need to like talk to a therapist or something, mental health is the most important thing we can all have. So like take care of that as best as you possibly can. Second is your physical health, like be healthy, work out, exercise, because you've only got one body and it goes quick. So really those are kind of my main focuses. And then once those are taken care of, then it's like, all right, cool. Now let's, figure out how to pay these bills and make some money. And, from there, do what we can to have a little bit of an impact.
I feel like most entrepreneurs have it backwards. I feel like they focus all on the business and they think, okay, well, once my business is optimized, then I'll have the time to work on myself. Even today, I was reaching out with potential clients and a lot of them say, oh, I just don't have the time right now. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's mind blowing. It's like, you don't have time to work on your personal health, happiness, and mental state, but you have time to work on your business. To me, that doesn't make any sense, because if you don't have time for yourself, you can't have time for your business, because if you're not optimized, your business sure as hell can't be optimized. So to me, that's all backwards. So I'm really glad you brought that up, that yeah, mental health for sure. You have to have low stress. Obviously, running a business is going to require some levels of stress, but you shouldn't be even close to burnout or depression or feel like you're overworking or anything like that.
Exactly. Like you touched on something really powerful, which is essentially time management. Like if you can't find the time, and I'm not trying to like preach or anything, but this is just my personal, answer to that is like, if I can't find the time to sit down and do something that I care about or invest in my time in, then I have to drastically rearrange how I'm spending my time and whatever that looks like. And it should be the same for other people, because like you said, if you can't find, 20 minutes in your day to sit down and do something to help yourself grow, what does that equate to in your business? You know what I mean? And it's all about, especially if you're a business owner, finding efficiencies, streamlining processes. Like if I could, I'd get all my work done in 5 minutes. If I could get the systems in place that would allow that, like by all means, like nothing wrong with that. There are a lot of people who do that. So I agree. It's just being smart and mindful and patient. And I like to kind of tell this one story about like me working with a mentor when it comes to sort of like mental health and personal growth. And I think as entrepreneurs, like we're always going back to what we were talking about before, it's like we're always like looking for the next thing to do. Like, what can we do next? And even when we're doing something successful, it's hard to really keep it in perspective of like, yeah, the things we worked for a year ago are finally coming into place. And so I was meeting with this woman, mentor of mine, super successful. We're just kind of chilling, shooting the shit. I'm like, where do you see your business going in like 5 years? She's a little bit older than me. And she was like, man, like, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do this. Juliana took a deep breath and she was like, honestly, I don't even really know. And like that moment kind of, it was like just a very like exasperated moment of like, I don't really know. Like, I'm just kind of playing it by ear. And that moment opened up my eyes because even the people that I look up to, even the people that are in the media of like the most successful entrepreneurs, a lot of the times, like they don't really know what they're doing. It's a learning process. So it's okay to just take it day by day. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not have, everything 100%, but just taking, one step forward every single day. And that's why I like that to-do list and that checklist. Cause it's like, I know if I do these things every single day consistently, that'll add up and the things I want to accomplish will eventually come.
Yeah, I think that's true if you first defined what it is that you want. Mm-hmm. So like if you read the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People and then the subsequent book, First Things First, both by Stephen Covey, I think this is why a lot of people, they work 9-to-5 jobs or they start a business thinking that that's what's going to make them happy. And then 60 years later, when they've built a successful business, they realize that they're not happy. I think that's because they haven't began with the end in mind. They haven't defined what it is that they want. So I think what you said is valid once you have that defined already. Like once you know, okay, this is the goal, like this is the direction I'm headed, this is the impact I want to make, here's how I want to be remembered, then work back from there and then take it day by day. But if you're not enjoying what you do now and you just keep doing that over and over, you keep working at it one step at a time, you're going to get to the top of the ladder only to find out that you don't like the view. Mm-hmm. Right.
100%. I try to do this thing, like when I'm feeling lost or like just sort of not knowing what I'm doing, try to do these 3 things. One is vision, inspiration, and patience. So like a vision, like where do I see myself in 5 years, like, or 1 year, or wherever that kind of like place I want to be. So I kind of try to envision what that looks like. 2, and this comes back to why I really love your podcast, the inspiration. Like, what is the inspiration that's making me want to be there? Am I trying to get there for fame, for money, for happiness? And then the last is patience. Like 5 years, is a long time away. All that vision that you have isn't going to come to life overnight. It's those, just having that end goal, like you mentioned, in sight, what's driving you every day to get there. And then the patience to, let it happen and come naturally, but also working at the same time towards it.
Yeah. And then bringing this all back to, again, lifestyle entrepreneurship and lifestyle design is that in order to achieve that, us as entrepreneurs have to reframe our mindset from it's just hard work and grinding and hustling is going to get you there to, in order to do those things, you have to prioritize your rest, your mental health, all those things. Being productive isn't just working. Being productive is sometimes doing nothing at all and just sitting and meditating and thinking and sleeping and just being mindful in general. Those are the things that are going to allow you to hustle and to grind when you need to. You can't just grind nonstop. It's a balance.
So you asked me this question, but I'm curious about you. Like, what are some day-to-day things that you do to be, as successful as you are?
Oh man, we could go on forever. So similar to you, I don't start my day with business at all. Like it is low on the priority list. My whole morning, like the first minimum hour, is spent just doing personal things. things that are going to allow me to have a productive day at work. So things like meditation, things like cold exposure. So my morning ritual that I teach people is the cages method, which you mentioned one of them is affirmations. That's the A. The C is cold exposure for many different reasons, but specifically in the morning, it really helps build your mental toughness. So there's a whole host of physiological benefits that come from cold exposure. But if you can start your day with something that 95% of people are deathly afraid of and avoid at all costs, being cold water, if you can start your day with that, everything else that is going to be thrown at you during your day is going to feel much easier. So starting your day off with a challenge like that, super beneficial. The affirmations you already touched on, that's, you described it, so I won't go too in depth there, but just stating your mission statement, your core values, your vision statement, any affirming statements that you have, affirming those. The G stands for growth, because if you stop learning, you stop living. So that could be educational podcasts, coaching course that you're enrolled in, reading books, practicing skills, whatever it is. I think a lot of people, entrepreneurs especially, get so busy with their work that they forget to continuously learn and grow, which is one of the worst things you can do, because entrepreneurship is the ultimate personal development tool disguised as a business venture. You have to constantly be growing. So that's the G. The E is exercise. And I don't mean like go hard in the gym, but just go out for a morning walk, do some yoga, some stretching, get the body moving, get the blood flowing, right? Then the S, super important, is sunlight. Sunshine is I would say is the most important thing that you can do for your overall health, happiness, and productivity. One, because it wakes you up in the morning by shutting off melatonin production. It also resets melatonin production for that night. So you get a better quality sleep, which leads to more productivity. It also releases serotonin, your body's feel-good hormone. So many good things happen from that. So if you do all those things first thing in the morning before most people are even awake, like you're already off to a good start. You won the morning. So if that's an example, you always got to prioritize yourself first, I think, before jumping into business. Mm-hmm. Last thing I'll say about this is I had a client who kind of half jokingly told me that he used his email notifications as an alarm clock. So he would just wake up to like his Outlook notifications, and then he'd just be reacting the whole rest of the day, just working from morning till night. And that's the problem that he came to me with. He's like, I feel like I have no time for myself. And that's what we identified. It's like, okay, well, if you're starting by reacting to other people's problems, of course you're not going to have time for yourself. So yeah, I would say those are the main things: the cages morning ritual, and just don't even have notifications on. Don't even touch your phone at least the first hour of the day.
I might delete Gmail off my phone right now.
Yeah, but you can get lost in the email rabbit hole easily.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like at my old job, I used to get probably like 500 emails a day, which to some people, that's not even that many. They're like, phew. But I just don't get it. Like there's email, it's good and it's bad. And it's just like, I would prefer not to have any emails all day. I would prefer to never check email if possible. So, but you mentioned one thing that I've been like dabbling in, which is the cold water.
You got to come over, man. I got an ice bath.
Do you?
Yeah.
So what are like, cause I know a lot of people do it. What are the benefits that you wake up, you're getting your day going, you jump in the ice bath. Like, what does that feel like when you come out of it?
It's incredible. Usually I don't start my mornings with an ice bath, although I've been contemplating doing that. Usually I just take a cold shower, which for me, honestly, doesn't really do much living in Southern California when the water doesn't really get that cold. But almost every single one of the high-performing entrepreneurs that I've interviewed on my show have mentioned some form of cold exposure, usually cold showers, because usually most people don't have an ice bath, but they almost all say like cold showers are a game changer, which there's a good reason. I mentioned specifically the mental side of things. Again, that's huge. Like if you start your day off with that challenge that most people are afraid of, and say you're trying to follow a healthy lifestyle to where you want to eat better, for example. When you go into work and somebody brings in that box of donuts, it's tempting. But if you started your day with a cold shower, imagine how much easier it's going to be to turn down that donut when you already said, fuck you, to wanting to stay in the warm bed. And instead you got up and took a cold shower. Like, so that aspect of it is huge. That's why I say first thing in the morning, you got to start your day off with that challenge. But then there's physiological benefits, like increasing testosterone, increasing brown adipose tissue, which is basically insulation. It's metabolically active fat, really dense with mitochondria, helps keep you warm. It's also fantastic for recovery. So if you work out, that if you can combine this with like hot cold contrast, like doing ice bath sauna, that's super beneficial for blood flow, because your body constricts blood vessels when you're in the ice bath. Then when you get out, it has a vasodilatory effect. So enhanced blood flow, really good for, I take ice baths usually mid-work breaks. So in the afternoon, after I've already been working, I'll go take an ice bath. That kind of like resets everything, kind of resets your brain, gets you ready, because you shouldn't just be sitting working all day. The blood is stagnant. You got to keep everything flowing. So always moving. Ice bath works wonders for that.
That's why I love having these conversations, because I'm just pumped to like implement this into my life. Literally, I'm just going to start taking cold showers from here on out.
If you feel like, that mid-afternoon lull, try taking a cold shower. Yeah. That in combination with some breathwork techniques, it's a really good like mid-afternoon shift.
All right. Because I like that, because typically what I do is wrap up my work around like 2 or 3. And then I kind of just like, hang out, walk my dog or whatever. And then I try to go to like an afternoon, evening workout. So it like gets the juices flowing again. But I do feel like, and I've noticed this, that like couple hours at like 3 to 4 before the workout, after I finish my work, where I'm just like, all right, like cool, now what? So I feel like I'm going to try to just do that, a quick cold shower, and like get the blood flowing, like, cool, I'm on to like the next thing.
Do it before the workout too. That'll be good. Because again, the cold shower is vasoconstricting when you're in it, but then when you get out, it's vasodilatory. And then working out is also vasodilatory. So it'll help your workouts as well. You'll get a nice little pump from it.
So you obviously exercise a lot. Have you ever done the 75 hard challenge?
I have not. And I have mixed feelings about that. I get it from like a mental toughness standpoint. But it's definitely not the most effective way, because I think a lot of people that do that, it seems all yin and no yang. Like it's all just fucking go 100%, just fucking do it. And then it seems to me like there's not enough prioritization on the rest and recovery aspect of it. I've toyed with creating something like that myself, and I would absolutely include something about sleep. Because if you're working out twice a day for 45 minutes, which is a part of the 75 hard, and you're not prioritizing your rest and recovery, you're actually beating your body down as opposed to building it up. Now that can be good for building that mental toughness. Like if you just need to get off the couch and stop being a lazy fuck, like, yeah, it'll help. But the rest has got to be prioritized.
100%. So I'm glad you bring that up, because I'm mid 75 hard challenge right now, but I tweaked it a little bit, but for the exact reasons you said. Like it's all just 100% go. And going back to our conversation before, like you can't 100% go all the time. And
entrepreneurs especially are already 100% go. So then if they do 75 hard, that's like double 100% go. So then they get burnt out.
So I tweaked it, and a bunch of my friends who I tell them I'm doing it, they're like, that's not the fucking 75 hard. You're full of shit. And so what I do, I'll kind of walk through what I do. And this really helped me a lot is when I looked at the 75 hard, like big picture, it's 75 days of exercising and different lifestyle challenges. So what I thought when I did this, I'm like, all right, think about day 1, think about day 75. The point of this is to be healthier and have something accomplished by the end of day 75. And I was thinking about it, and I'm like, man, if I do certain things for 75 days, that's going to have a really good impact. But like certain things that are involved with it are in. So I had to tweak it to my lifestyle. So what I did with it was I do the 2 workouts a day, but I try to do the workouts where they kind of complement each other. Like I really like a boxing workout gym that I go to. So I do that in the morning, but then that beats my ass. So in the afternoon or the second workout, like I can't go back there. The next day I'll be dead. So it's like, all right, I'll go for a walk or something. And like some of my friends are like, "A fucking walk, dude, what?" Or I'll go do yoga, but like it's still a workout. You're still moving. But it's just not that like beating yourself down. Two, a couple things I changed. There's no drinking involved. And honestly, like to me, going back to being happy, like I enjoy going out and like having some drinks, but drinking responsibly. Like if my friends are like, "Hey, you want to go grab dinner?" Like I said before, I have my checklist of stuff I do that day. And if I've done that, I have no problem being like, "Yeah, let's go grab, some food and a drink or two," because that's like keeps it in balance of like, go, go, go. Then I also added some business stuff, little small things that like when it adds up over time made a huge difference. So like I write a blog article every single day. I reach out to 5 new potential clients, or like potential cool people I'd like to work with every single day. So I toned it down, but I also added other things and tweaked it to kind of match my lifestyle. And like, that's been really beneficial. So I would recommend if someone's interested in kind of like making a change and like getting up a little bit, like that's really helped me a lot, but not doing it like to the T of the 75 hard, like looking at it as like day 1 to day 75, let's get a bunch of stuff done in between in a healthy way. So it's funny you mentioned that because I have a bunch of friends who are like, "You can't fucking drink on the 75 hard." And I'm like, dude, I worked out for 2 hours today. If I want to have a beer, like I think I deserve it.
Well, I think the cutting out drinking or anything for that matter, whether it be coffee or, whatever you're addicted to, I think that's fantastic to commit to cutting it out if you're dependent on something, whatever it is. If you're dependent on your phone, if you're dependent on having coffee first thing in the morning, if you're addicted or dependent on anything, I think you should cut it out because you should not, spend your life should not be dictated by whatever it is. So I would say unless you're addicted to alcohol, which I don't think you are, I think that's fine as long as you kind of play the pros and cons. So for me, I wouldn't necessarily say I was an alcoholic. I definitely probably had a drinking problem back when I was in the Marine Corps, did some stupid stuff, really stupid stuff while drinking. And so I completely cut it out for 2 years. And for me, that was necessary. Like when I made that decision, there's no middle ground there. Like there's no drink, there's no having a sip. I would go out with my friends and they'd say, "Oh, come on, it's just this one time." And be like, motherfucker, if I had a drink every time somebody said, "Oh, it's just this one time," I'd still be drinking every single weekend. Mm-hmm. So I get where you're coming from, where you don't have that drinking problem. You're not relying on alcohol. You do it socially. Yeah, that's fantastic. But for people who are addicted to, I think coffee now is the biggest thing. People feel like they need coffee to wake up and be productive in the morning. Stop drinking coffee. Like get better sleep. Showers. Yeah, take cold showers, get better sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. Again, it's just that balance. And I think if you have a drinking problem or any type of addiction problem, that's not going to be solved by the 75 hard. So that's a whole other issue, but it has helped me just kind of like wake up and say, all right, it's day 6. I've got to work out twice. Let's figure out what that will be so that, I'm productive and exercise. Mm-hmm. Got to do this, and this. So kind of waking up and having that checklist of things has really helped me. And then I like tracking like the day 1 to day 75, like, and just seeing that slow progress come together, because it's, again, going back to kind of what we were talking about with like having that vision. We were talking about a 5-year vision, but a lot can happen in, 75 days or even like a week or even like a month, if
people overestimate what they can do in, whatever it is, a month, and then they underestimate what they can do in 5 years.
Exactly. Yeah. Like a lot of people shit on Mondays. I like Mondays because I'm like, man, like it's Monday. By the time Friday comes around, I'm going to have gotten a lot of shit done. And who knows what could even happen between those 5 days. So I'm excited to see where it takes me. So
yeah, I love Mondays.
that vision, but also keeping it in perspective of like scaling it up and scaling it down so that you feel comfortable with, the life that you're living.
Yeah. Well, now let's transition to what I had you on the show in the first place for, which is sustainability and green.org. So let's talk about the summit that's coming up in San Diego. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So what I like about you is you're like, I want to have something that's going to make an impact on people. And I was really thinking, how can I live a life that I want, and how can I have the biggest impact on the most amount of people in the biggest way? And so those two things were combined with starting green.org. So it's a media company, communications company around sustainability. And the whole point of that was, how can we use the internet? How can we use digital communications to educate people, to inspire people, to get people pumped, to be involved in pretty much the worst catastrophe problem we're facing as humans in general, regardless of what country you live in, regardless of how old you are, regardless of whether you're Republican or Democrat or anywhere in between, regardless of your religion. It's a huge problem we're facing. So that was the whole goal with green.org, was how can I build a business around it where I can, make money and employ people and build a business, but also give back and try to solve a huge problem. So that's how green.org came about. And our goal to kind of keep it growing and, having an impact was we decided to put together this 2-day event. We were able to interview and feature a lot of really cool entrepreneurs and CEOs and scientists on the podcast on green.org. And we brought them all together for a 2-day event and said, hey, just tell us what's happening in your world and tell it to sort of the average person. Like if someone's out there who doesn't care at all about the environment, like why should they care? And like, we don't need to hear if you're a solar, CEO of like the latest voltage of this, like that's not going to get people excited. Like tell us actual practical real world advice of how we can apply it to our lives. And so we got together a bunch of different speakers with different backgrounds, men, women, different ages, millennials, Gen Z, baby boomers, from all over the world, from industries in fashion, lifestyle, travel, electric vehicles. And really, they're all going to kind of come and just say, hey, this is what's happening in our industry. This is why you should care. And this is how you can apply it to your life. And I think what's really cool about what we were kind of talking about at the very beginning was these industries are just going to continue to grow and get bigger and bigger. And there's a lot of opportunity for people to make a shitload of money in these industries. Like if you don't like your job, try looking into some of these industries that are about to take off within the next 5 to 10 years. And not only are you going to probably find a well-paying job, but it's probably an industry that you can be passionate about. And that's what I think about sustainability in general is really cool, is it transcends essentially every industry. If you're like a chick who lives in New York City and you're the most fashionable person out there, and you went to FIT, like there's some of the biggest companies that are putting a lot of money into being a more sustainable fashion company. If you're on, the cutting edge of the latest technology, there's freaking electric helicopters out there that are about to come to market. Like anything that you feel passionate about, whatever industry that's in, chances are there's really badass, cool people growing companies that are making that industry more environmentally friendly and sustainable. And chances are they're making a lot of money too. So that was really the idea about it, is no matter what your interests are, no matter how old you are, one of the speakers that we have at the event could capture your attention and teach you something new and get you pumped to be involved. So that was really the whole idea. My goal with the event is to have $1 billion worth of impact on people. So I want to have as many people come as possible. We have a free option for tickets. So if you want to come and tune in, go to green-summit.org, get a free ticket. There's a couple options where if you want to get a little bit more involved, a little bit more access to stuff, you can pay a little bit, still really affordable. And again, just get people pumped and get people excited. And, it's kind of a shitty world out there sometimes, depending on how you look at it and what's populating the news cycle for the day. So it's just giving, solutions to these problems that we're facing.
Yeah, I'm trying to tell people this is the future of business.
Yeah.
Get on board or get lost. Like you're not going to have a business much longer. And one of your speakers, Philip, is actually going to be a future podcast guest. He's coming on, I think, early September.
Nice.
So this podcast will be out by September. So when is the Green Summit?
September 23rd and 24th. And then we also have our next one already getting planned for March 24th and March 25th, 2022. Again, like the whole point of this is access to as many people as possible. So if you're interested in coming and you want the full ticket, can't afford it, just message me and I'll hook you up with a promo code to get you that access. Like this is all about just helping as many people as possible.
The Captain's Lifestyle special discount. There you go. And it's in San Diego, correct?
Yeah. So it's in San Diego and then it's like the standard virtual event. So if you want to tune in, we'll have that link available. And yeah, it's come out to visit San Diego too. Get that S in, that sunlight.
Yep. 100%. All right, Dylan. Well, this has been fantastic. I love everything you've accomplished with green.org and the Green Summit. It's basically just like you're a little bit ahead of where I want to go, because this is, a big part of the Captain's Lifestyle is spreading awareness for these different brands and these different sustainable companies. That's why I love interviewing people like you who are doing this. So thank you for coming on the show, and thank you for continuing to do what you do and spread awareness.
Appreciate it. And thank you. And let's keep it in perspective, man. You're doing the exact same thing I'm doing, and appreciate, having me on. Appreciate the effort and sweat equity it takes to start up a podcast and keep it going, because that shit is hard. I have a lot of people who are like, I want to start a podcast, and they do one episode and they're like, yeah, fuck this.
Yeah.
It's not an easy accomplishment. So thank you for what you're doing. Seriously. It's people like you who, make that extra effort to support others and, get the word out and just try to inspire people. That's going to have a big difference in the world.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Dylan. I appreciate that, because when I started this, I definitely did not anticipate how difficult or stressful it would be. I found out on the way. I kind of just woke up one day. I was like, I'm going to start a podcast, and I did. And turns out there's a little bit more that goes into it to have a good, successful podcast. But yeah, thank you for being a part of it. And for anybody who wants to attend the Green Summit, either virtually or in person, again, tell us where we can find that info.
green-summit.org.
green-summit.org. Awesome. Well, thanks, Dylan. And for everybody listening, don't forget, live the Captain's Lifestyle. Peace.